So, hello everybody, Всем привет. This is just a couple hours after my last video was recorded. I sat down to do some animation of the hero, and I was a little nervous to test my fog of war and see how it works. And before I go through how I actually built it, I just want to demonstrate it. So if you look in the upper right corner, we've got I started this level. This level is Claw, and I'm going to start moving my hero, who is a sorceress, around with the D-pad. And notice we can walk on various things here. We can move at angles. We get stuck at random locations. And actually, the fog of war seems like it's doing okay. Look at that. That's actually all kind of what you'd expect. I have been testing this a little bit and have encountered there are some corner cases that are still missing that I'm going to work on fixing. And, yes, she is riding the horse on water. But see, even stuff like this is actually, like, working okay. Let's see if we can find some corner cases, though, that break. Okay, that is almost like a corner case that's broken there. Yeah, I mean, that is technically broken. There's this little blip that's it's going there. Let me do a snipping tool. Let me do a screenshot of that quick to report to the AI. And save that. Okay, let's see what else we can find here. So, but if we move her up, that's working okay. What about there? Still? Okay, hey, look at that. That is something weird. So that is, this is correct. This is not. Let's see if we move. Okay, we move her up again. Yeah, that's not bad. And then, okay, we have the same issue here. I'm going to take another screen capture here. And save that. But yeah, this, I'm reasonably happy to see that this is working. Now there's some collision stuff that definitely needs to be worked on here. I am using just the D-pad to, not the D-pad, the numeric keypad is what I'm using to move things around, and then I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard to actually move the map around. So I still need to work on the map navigation as well. I want to add in some fixes here for actual tile interactions. There's a whole bunch yet to do. It still looks like I have this bug where it is random, like this is supposed to be a fixed resource, and I am not. Okay, I thought I'd just fix this. Well, we'll check that out in a little bit. But basically, this is supposed to be a fixed Mercury based on the map tile, and it is being randomized. So it's possible I didn't compile my latest fix. So we'll check that in a minute and see if that is fixed on my next compilation. We can actually just do this right now. See my build process. So we delete our old build directory. We do a new make. And we run a quick parallel build. And the new file in our build directory shows up, and we run it again. So Just scrolling down to our map. Okay, this actually looks better. Nope, that is still, now everything is being generated as wood. Okay, well, we can probably fix this in production here. So we'll look at that in a second. But anyway, this was my AI prompt that helped me get this far. I dropped a whole bunch of files in, including the flags animation. There's 101 images of the flag animation. There are 56 images of a hero movement animation. There's 4 colors. There's 4 different hero factions, but they're basically the same types of animation frames. And I dropped in the XML specs that were associated with each one. And I said, hey, there's 4 classes. Each has 56 frames of animation. They're basically all identical. Then I described which directions they were facing and which one, like if you wanted to go, so like images 9 through 17 are riding northeast, and if you wanted to go northwest, you would mirror those. Same thing for riding east, which is 27 to 35, or actually 18 to 26 is riding east. You'd mirror those for riding west. 27 to 35 southeast, you mirror those for southwest. And I basically just explained this and then said, a hero moves 1 tile per move and has 9 frames of animation as they move. Although technically, if we look at this, there's like looking at 18 through 26, this is all the east riding hero. We also have there's an extra frame here on 54, which kind of looks like 20, but reversed. And there's another one here, 49 and 48. So there's a couple additional frames, and I haven't quite figured out what those are for. I was thinking those are like for turning or something like that. So I'm not exactly sure what these frames were for, but to just get something working, I basically just told the AI, hey, we have 9 frames. Let's make those 9 frames animate per let's make those animate per move. So if you look at this, it is actually animating. And maybe those are like frozen. Maybe I need to have it also freeze and stop in the direction. That might be better than having the hero. It's kind of King's Bounty style movement right now. But yeah, anyway, that's what I input. It kicked around some stuff. It came up with a new hero animation tables and state structure and added that in. It explained how it's doing this. So each direction has a base frame, and then whether or not that is mirrored. Hero move state. Now I don't track. I'm not recording the amount of initial movement that a hero gets, so I probably have to do that. And I've never thought like I'll have to go try and count approximately how many squares a hero gets. I know the barbarian gets a hero movement bonus on certain terrains. So and there's penalties for others on other terrains. So I'll have to look that up and see what I can reverse engineer. I also took the flags. Those I guess these are the flag images here. I included support for that as well. So that's what made this display. Like, strangely, the barbarian sprites usually have the flag with them, and it's only the barbarian that has that. The other like if you look at the warlock here, there's no flag except on 55 here. There's no flag on any of these poles. It's meant to be added in additionally, like later on. So anyway, that's part of that. So yeah, I can use the numpad keypad to move in 8 directions. And it gave me a patch to make in the file. And I was like, oh, come on AI, like you can do better than this. So I said, can you just integrate those changes? And it like still said, okay, I updated the game main and hero animation, but here's the lines that you change in map H and map CPP. Well, I was able to make the change in map H. It's just pasting in this line. That's easy. I couldn't find what it was talking about with this H tile hero ICN. I couldn't find that. So I was like, you know what? Why don't you just do it? I'm getting, you know, this vibe coding stuff is making me so lazy. I'm just like, you know, I did try and manually locate those lines, but a quick Control F, I was like, it's just faster to give it to the AI and make it do it for me. Then I noticed also the heroes were actually spawning one up. So like this, my hero down here, I guess in this case it's a knight. They were spawning up here. Now you're not supposed to be able to go up here. You know, the collision detection is off at this moment. You know, this is definitely not supposed to happen in the game. But anyway, the hero was spawning here, so I fixed that. That was one of my one of my corrections a little bit later on here. And also I noticed the mini-map, the mini-map colors, now they're matching, but they weren't. Like this was, the castle here was yellow and the flag was still red, and so these weren't matching. So I had to kind of chew through this and figure out what was actually happening. Initially I thought it was rendering the mini-map wrong, and then I realized, and it did something, and it actually ended up shifting all these castles over, thinking that was the issue. And I said, okay, but did you fix the color assignment problem? And it's like, nope, I only fixed the footprint offset. Well, I pasted in some of the dump from my game state and said, maybe what I'm reacting to is the flag color of the hero is not matching the flag color of the castle. So can we make sure the animated color of the flag matches the color assigned to the hero and the castle, and it's the same color that the hero carries on their animation? And that was the actual issue. Now, it went through, figured that out, and assigned it based on my hero crest color, and then it came up with a lookup table like this. So this might be a bit strange. There's probably a better way to encode the player color than associating it with the hero crest. So that's kind of like a vibe coding artifact that I think has been inserted, and I'm going to think about how to clean that up. But I also said, like, hey, your shift of the position of the castle on the minimap was incorrect, so let's undo that. And then the heroes are spawning one tile above the entrance of the castle. So again, like this knight was like spawning here. And so I said, let's move that down. Well, then it said it did that for also heroes that spawn at C7, like Dragon Rider. So suddenly the Windows 95 heroes characters that are going to spawn outside of their castle, those characters are going to spawn one lower. And I was like, you don't need to do that. Don't mess with the 0xC7 Windows 95 hero spawn. That did not need to be corrected. This is just for the DOS castle spawning. So it said, okay, fix that. And then this is where I noticed my resource mapping bug here. And I'm going to probably just pull up the code and we'll have a look at it in a second. Let me check the resource mapping code for both files, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm saying the random resources, which are 0xbe byte 8, are to be assigned a random resource type and then a random quantity when the game starts. Fixed tile resources do not change type, but do get a random quantity. I think an earlier session made the change that the fixed tile resources might be getting the random type change, and that's incorrect. We need to just read what is in the map. So this 0x9d is like a fixed type, and you know, in this early map, so this is really funny how broken this is right now, that all of these have been assigned to wood. And basically what the game was trying to do was, this should be ore, this should be wood, this should be gems. You know, and over here, this should be crystal, this should be sulfur, and this should be mercury. You know, the kind of getting you to associate it. And instead, now somehow this maps function is now just pulling up like everything is wood. So I'm going to pull up the source code and we'll just have a look at what is causing that. So in map.h, see, I think it's in map.h. It might be in map.cpp, but I think it's, let's see, we have resource, war game state. Search for PE. Okay, maybe it's in maps.cpp. Okay, that's a random number generator of some kind. Here we are. So this is the random resource pile. Type and quantity are both randomized at initiation. So this is basically initiating the resource type. And this is, and okay, you know what's happening here is the resource type is being read from the auxiliary byte. So this is reading it from byte 9 and not from byte 8. So here's what we're gonna do to correct that. So byte 9 in these, man, that's a neat bug. So byte 9 is actually all zeros for these fixed resource types because we have to randomly generate it. So it is actually not in, like, the type is actually encoded in byte 8. So I need to, I'm just going to do this quick in the AI and say it thought it made a correction here and documented it, and I need to fix this. So there is a bug in the fixed type resource code. This comment is incorrect, and I'm going to make sure that I point out that it's stale and stale. In map.cpp is incorrect and stale. The fixed resource, okay, the type is actually encoded in byte 8, and the quantity is not encoded in byte 9. Oops, why do I keep hitting 8? 9 is not encoded in byte 9. So let's fix this. Fix this method for me to use byte 8 instead of byte 9, and I will paste it back in. So basically it's just going to tell me what it's going to fix this this auxiliary Oh, I'm actually wrong. So it's not encoded in byte 8. It's actually encoded in the layer 2 image. Oh, my bad. It is actually encoded in the layer 2 image. I think it's layer 2. Maybe it's layer 1. I'll just say layer 1 or layer 2 image. I don't remember which one. And let's have a look quick at resource 32. So we're talking 61 through 67. Resource 32 is gold, mercury, ore, sulfur, crystal, gems, gold, in that order. So let's look at the tile where byte 8 is 0x9d. I think, wait, was it 9d, right? Yup. Zero x9d, and look at the image on that tile from resource 32 and then assign that to the tile in memory. Okay, I'm annoyed that I don't remember whether it's level 1 or level 2, and it seems to want to do something where it falls back, that's just sloppy. I don't like that. All right, well, let's pull up our map format here again, map format specification. So this is our ICN file selector. So it's actually not the layer 1, it's the layer 2. So, okay, here's what we're going to say. So layer 2, let's clean this up. Layer 1 tells us that it is resource 32, and layer 2 is the actual indices inside that. So the layer 2 are 0061 to 0067. Is that what we said earlier? Yep. Paste in the code and test it. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it back here in 9D. Let's get our tabs corrected. And let's double check the code here. So we have our state. Our resource type is our level 2 index. And I guess our default is wood. It defaults to 0. And then the resource quantity, it's going to be that. And then no tile patching is needed. Yep. So let's save this and do a quick recompile and see if we fixed that. Okay. So let's scroll down. We should be able to see a Mercury next to, okay, well so everything was wood before, so we won't really know. Yep, that looks correct, and that is crystal up there, and we have some sulfur there. Now these are actually random, these values over here. So yeah, we just fixed that bug. So that is how it goes. I'm totally cheating with the frame skipping here. Let's just verify that these guys up here are also, okay, that's gems, and we need to get our hero over there to explore. That's ore, yep, by the ore mine. Now I also have this little bug here where this is, I think what's happening is this piece of the mine is not rendering over. I think there's a little rendering order bug, and I'll probably try and fix that next. But anyway, for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to demonstrate that we do have some hero movement and animation. It's not perfect yet, but it's, you know, this is, if you were playing the game with this level of animation, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We can do better, and we will, but for now, like, this is great progress in my mind. And you know, the Fog of War is performing much better than I expected, and I still love that the cheat code works. You know, I actually found there are a few other cheat codes from this from other versions of the game. Like I think the Mac version. Like there was a Mac Power PC version of this game way back in 1995 or 6, probably 96, and they had other cheat codes where you could add resources and add creatures. And I think there's a 32167 cheat code from maybe it was from Heroes 2, maybe it was from Heroes 3. I don't remember. It's probably from Heroes 2. And it gives you some black dragons. And I was thinking about implementing something like that a little later on when I'm testing, so that I can just run around the map and crunch some creatures and test it out. But anyway, the 101495 is a very useful cheat for just verifying stuff is rendering correctly on the map. So that one's already in the game. And you'll notice here, it says cheat map fully revealed. And once that code is entered, it shuts off. So entering it subsequently doesn't really do anything. But yeah, that's all for now. Talk to you guys later.